My girlfriend posted the stupidest thing I've ever read, and it blew up our lives. I'm not even exaggerating. It all started last Tuesday. I was scrolling through my phone on my lunch break when I saw the post from my girlfriend, Jenna. It was one of those generic, inspirational quote images with a sunset background, but the text was what got me. Don't let your boyfriend stop you from finding your husband. I just stared at it. After 4 years together, living in an apartment I'd had before she even moved to the city, this is what she puts out there for everyone to see. I didn't even think. I just commented, "Good luck finding him." Then I went to my profile, changed my relationship status to single, and made sure to tag her mom, her dad, and her sister in the post. Her post disappeared in minutes. My phone, however, started to explode. First came the texts from her, a string of question marks. Then, "What did you do?" Followed by, "Take that down right now." I ignored them. Then her sister Chloe messaged me. "Mark, what is going on? Jenna is hysterical." I sent Chloe a screenshot of Jenna's post. Her only reply was, "Oh. Yeah, oh. Her mom called me twice, but I let it go to voicemail. I didn't need to hear the shrieking. I put my phone on silent and tried to get back to work, but the anger was just a cold, hard knot in my stomach. I knew when I got home it was going to be a mess." I was right. The second I walked through the door of my apartment, she was there, standing in the middle of the living room with her arms crossed. Her face was puffy and red from crying, but now it was just set in a mask of fury. "You humiliated me," she hissed. "You did that yourself," I said, dropping my keys in the bowl by the door. I walked past her into the kitchen to grab a bottle of water. I wasn't going to have this conversation dehydrated. "It was just a quote. It didn't mean anything," she yelled, following me. "Everyone posts stuff like that." "No, Jenna, they don't. Not when they're in a supposed serious relationship," I said, twisting the cap off. What was I supposed to think? That you were just window shopping for my replacement while I was paying our rent? That is so unfair. You know I'm not like that. I just laughed. It wasn't a nice laugh. Your post said the opposite. You told the entire world that I was a placeholder, a temporary obstacle. So, obstacle removed, you're welcome. She started crying again, but this time it was the angry, frustrated kind of crying. "So that's it? 4 years and you throw it all away over one stupid post? And you had to tag my family? My mom is freaking out?" "Good. Maybe she can help you pack," I said, walking back into the living room and sitting on the couch. I picked up the remote. "I want you out by the end of the month." Her whole demeanor changed. The tears stopped instantly. A nasty, confident little smirk appeared on her face. "No," she said simply. I looked up from the TV guide. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean no, I'm not leaving. I live here. I get my mail here. My name is on the lease. You can't just kick me out, Mark. That's not how it works. I have tenants' rights." She stood there, looking so proud of herself for knowing that little legal tidbit. She really thought she had me. She figured she could stay here, rent-free, while she figured out her next move, probably while simultaneously auditioning for the role of husband. The thought of her bringing some other guy into my apartment, sleeping in the bed I paid for, while I was stuck here, made something in my brain snap. "We'll see about that," I said, my voice dangerously quiet. She just shrugged, turned on her heel, and flounced into the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. I sat there on the couch for a long time, the TV humming in the background, and I started making a plan. This wasn't just a breakup anymore. This was war. The next few days were a special kind of hell. She'd be sickeningly sweet one minute, asking what I wanted for dinner, and a monster the next, blasting music until 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. She started having friends over constantly, loud, obnoxious people who left messes I always ended up cleaning. One night I came home and found one of her friends, some guy named Todd with a punchable face, sitting on my couch drinking my beer, with his feet on my coffee table. I walked in, looked at him, looked at Jenna, and just said, "Get him out." Jenna rolled her eyes. "Mark, don't be a jerk. This is Todd. We're just hanging out. I don't care if he's the Pope. Get him out of my apartment, now." The ensuing fight was epic. It ended with her screaming that she could have whoever she wanted over because it was her apartment too. That was her big mistake. The next morning, I sent an email to my landlord, Mr. Henderson. He's an old grumpy guy who has owned the building for 40 years and hates drama more than he hates anything else. I wrote, subject, lease question, apt 4B. Hi Mr. Henderson, hope you're well. I have a quick question about our lease agreement. My co-tenant Jenna and I have recently ended our personal relationship. She has begun having guests over at all hours, creating significant noise disturbances and violating what I believe is the quiet enjoyment principle for myself and potentially other tenants. Could you please clarify the policy on overnight guests and excessive noise as stated in our signed lease? I've attached a copy for your convenience. I attached the PDF of our lease, which I had saved on my computer. I had already reread it 3 times. An hour later, I got a reply. Mr. Henderson was nothing if not efficient. His email was blunt. Mark, see Section 7, Clause C of your lease agreement. Guests of tenants are not permitted to stay for more than 3 consecutive nights in any 33-day period without prior written consent from landlord. Tenants are responsible for the conduct of their guests. Any activity that disrupts the peace and quiet enjoyment of other tenants, as determined by the landlord, is a direct violation of this lease. This is your only warning. Any further complaints from you or other tenants regarding noise or unauthorized long-term guests will result in a formal notice to cure or quit being issued to both leaseholders. This notice will give you 3 days to remedy the violation, i.e., the guest leaves permanently, or vacate the premises. Regards, D. Henderson Building Management, Son. I saved that email as a PDF. That night, Jenna brought Todd over again. They were being loud in the living room, laughing obnoxiously at some terrible reality show. I walked out of my room, phone in hand. Jenna, he needs to leave, I said calmly. We've been over this. I'm not. I cut her off. He needs to leave now, or we both get evicted. I held up my phone, showing her the email from Mr. Henderson. I watched her face as she read it. The color drained away. Her smug confidence evaporated, replaced by a flicker of panic. You went to the landlord? She whispered, horrified. You said it was your apartment too, I replied, mimicking her tone from the other night. That means you're responsible for following the rules too. He leaves in the next 5 minutes, or I'm calling Mr. Henderson to report a lease violation. Your choice. Todd, who had been watching the exchange like a tennis match, suddenly seemed very uncomfortable. He stood up, grabbing his jacket. Hey man, it's cool. I was just leaving anyway. He practically ran out the door. Jenna stared at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. She had nothing to say. I had taken away her new favorite toy. She retreated to the bedroom, and I had the first quiet night in a week. The victory was small, but it was a start. The eviction threat hung in the air now. She knew I was serious. She had a deadline, whether she liked it or not. With the threat of eviction looming, Jenna's strategy shifted. She couldn't use the apartment as a weapon anymore, so she moved on to our possessions. The next Saturday, while I was out getting groceries, she sent me a long, rambling text message. It was a list of everything in the apartment that she was claiming was hers. The list included the 65-inch OLED TV in the living room, the custom gaming PC on my desk, the surround sound system, and even the expensive espresso machine in the kitchen. She ended the text with, "These were gifts and things we bought together, so I'll be taking them when I move out. We can be adults about this and split things fairly." I read the text standing in the cereal aisle and almost laughed out loud. Fairly. Not a single item on her list had been purchased with her money. The TV was my bonus from work 2 years ago. The PC I had built myself, part by part, over 6 months. The espresso machine was a birthday gift to myself. She had contributed exactly $0 to any of it. This wasn't about fairness, it was about leverage. She was trying to hurt me financially on her way out the door. I didn't reply to the text. I finished my shopping, went home, and put everything away. She was in the bedroom, pointedly ignoring me. I went to my office and started digging through my digital files. It took me about an hour, but I found them all. The digital receipt from Best Buy for the TV, with my name and my credit card number on it, dated October 17th, 2023. The series of invoices from Newegg and Amazon for every single component in my PC, from the motherboard to the graphics card. The receipt from Williams-Sonoma for the espresso machine. I saved them all into a single folder on my desktop, naming it Evidence. Then I scrolled way back through my text history with her. I found a message from the day after I had the TV mounted on the wall. It was a picture of her smiling on the couch with the new TV in the background. Her text underneath it, sent at 8:14 p.m. on October 18, 2023, read, "Movie night is so much better on your insane new TV. Thanks for letting me use it." I took a screenshot of that conversation. It felt good, like stacking ammunition. My friend Dave called while I was organizing the files. "How's life in the war zone?" he asked. "About to get tactical," I replied. I explained her latest move, the list of demands. "No way," he said. "She's really trying to take your PC? Does she even know how to turn it on?" "Doesn't matter. It's about hurting me," I said. "But I have an idea. Are you busy tonight? And do you have some space in your garage?" An hour later, Dave pulled up in his truck. Jenna was out with friends, which I knew from her annoying habit of posting her every move on Instagram. We worked quickly. We carefully unmounted the TV and wrapped it in blankets. We disconnected my entire PC setup, tower, monitors, keyboard, everything, and loaded it into his truck bed. We took the surround sound speakers, the subwoofer, and the espresso machine. In 30 minutes, every high-value item from her list was gone. The living room looked barren and sad with a giant empty space on the wall. I went back inside, opened the folder named Evidence, and composed an email to Jenna. I attached every single receipt and the screenshot of her text. The subject was, "Regarding your list." The body of the email said, "Jenna, I received your text. It seems you're mistaken about the ownership of several items in the apartment. As you can see from the attached documents, all the items you listed were purchased solely by me. They were not gifts, nor were they purchased jointly. To prevent any further confusion during your move-out process, I have moved these items to a secure, off-site location for safekeeping. They will be returned to the apartment after you have fully vacated the premises and returned your key. Mark." I hit send. Then I texted her a single message, "Check your email." The response was almost instantaneous. My phone rang. It was her. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. I declined the call. A flood of texts came through. They were a frantic, typo-filled mess of rage. "Where is my TV? You can't do that. I'm calling the cops." I replied once. "They're not your things, Jenna. The police will be very interested to see the receipts I have, the ones I just emailed you." The text stopped. The phone went silent. I knew she had no move left to make. I had the proof, and I had the possessions. She couldn't hold them hostage anymore. I sat down on the couch in my empty living room, and for the first time in a week, I felt like I could breathe again. The silence was wonderful. Losing the battle for the apartment and the possessions sent Jenna into a full-blown meltdown. She had no leverage left, so she resorted to the only weapon she had left: her words. She decided that if she couldn't get my stuff, she would try to destroy my reputation. It started subtly. A few of our mutual friends started acting weird. Texts would go unanswered. I got uninvited from a weekly game night through a curt message from the host, saying, "Hey man, think it's best if you sit this one out for a bit? Things are just too awkward." I knew it was her. Dave confirmed it. He called me one afternoon, his voice low and angry. "Dude, you need to see this. Jenna started a group chat. She's in there with like 10 of our friends, plus her sister and a cousin. She's going nuclear." He added me to a separate chat and forwarded me the screenshots. My stomach turned as I read them. Jenna had posted carefully cropped snippets of our old text arguments. She had selected only my responses, stripped of all context. A message where I said, "I'm not discussing this anymore tonight," was presented as me being emotionally abusive and giving her the silent treatment. A text where I told her, "You can't just spend that much money without talking to me," which was about a ridiculously expensive and non-refundable vacation she tried to book on our joint credit card, was framed as me being financially controlling. She had written a long paragraph to accompany the screenshots. "I know you all love Mark, but you don't know what he was like behind closed doors. This is just a small sample of how he controlled everything and wore me down emotionally. I'm just lucky I got out when I did. I'm so sorry to do this, but I feel like you all deserve to know the truth about who he really is." It was a masterpiece of manipulation. She was playing the victim perfectly, and from the replies in the chat, some people were buying it. There were messages of support, people saying, "I'm so sorry, Jenna," and we had no idea. I felt sick. These were people I had known for years, people I had considered friends, and they were turning on me based on a handful of cropped out-of-context messages. The old me would have been devastated, but the new me, the one forged in the fire of the last few weeks, just got cold. I didn't respond in the group chat. That's what she wanted, a messy public fight where I would look defensive and angry, proving her point. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction. Instead, I thought about the one person in her family who always seemed to have a level head, her dad, Alan. We weren't close, but we'd always gotten along. He was a quiet, serious man who valued honesty and hated drama. He was the complete opposite of Jenna's mother, who enabled her every whim. I spent the rest of the afternoon gathering my own evidence. I went through years of text messages. I found the full, unedited conversations from every single screenshot she had posted. I put them side by side with her cropped versions, highlighting the parts she had conveniently deleted. The financial control argument? The full text showed her apology right after. "You're right. I should have asked first. That was stupid of me." The silent treatment? The preceding texts showed her screaming at me via text for 3 solid hours because I had to work late and couldn't make dinner with her friends. My text was sent at 1 a.m. when I just couldn't fight anymore. I also had a secret weapon. A few nights ago, during one of her tirades about the TV, I had quietly started a voice recording on my phone, which I left on the kitchen counter. One-party consent for recording is legal in our state, and I had a feeling it might come in handy. In the recording, she wasn't a victim. She was screaming, calling me names, and threatening to destroy me for embarrassing her. The contrast between the fragile victim in the group chat and the screeching woman on that audio file was jarring. I compiled everything into a neat email, all the side-by-side screenshot comparisons. I attached the audio file, naming it Jenna Verbal Abuse Sample.mp3. Then I began to write. The email was addressed to her father, Alan. Subject: a difficult situation regarding Jenna. Dear Alan, I am writing to you under extremely difficult circumstances, and I sincerely apologize for involving you. I always respected you a great deal during my time with Jenna. Jenna has recently created a group chat with our mutual friends and has been sharing manipulated and out-of-context text messages to paint a picture of me as being controlling and emotionally abusive. These are serious and false accusations that could damage my personal and professional reputation. I would not be contacting you if this were just a simple breakup drama, but her actions have escalated to outright defamation. I have attached a document containing her cropped screenshots alongside the full, unedited conversations for your review. You will see that she has deliberately removed all context to misrepresent reality. I have also attached a short audio file from a recent conversation in our apartment. I warn you, it is unpleasant, but it is an accurate representation of the behavior I have been dealing with. It is not the behavior of a victim. I am not asking you to take sides. I am only asking you to see the truth. I hope you can talk to your daughter and convince her to stop this harmful campaign of lies before she does irreparable damage to herself and others. Sincerely, Mark. I read the email over one last time. It was professional, respectful, and damning. I hit send at 6:05 p.m. I didn't hear anything for 2 hours. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Alan. I've seen everything. I am dealing with this. I am very sorry, Mark." 20 minutes after that, the group chat exploded. Jenna posted, "My dad is calling me. What did you do, you psycho?" Then she must have deleted it, because it vanished. Another friend in the chat, one who had been on my side, texted me privately. "Dude, Jenna just left the group. Her sister Chloe just posted, 'Everyone please just drop this. It's over.' I never found out what Alan said to her. I don't need to." The smear campaign stopped dead in its tracks. The next day, 2 of the friends who had iced me out sent me awkward apology texts. I accepted, but I knew things would never be the same. Jenna was out of my social life for good. 3 days later, I came home from work to find all her things gone. The key was on the kitchen counter with a note that just said, "I hate you." It was the most beautiful thing I had ever read. Life returned to normal, or a new version of it. I got my TV and PC back from Dave's place, set up my living room the way I always wanted it, and enjoyed the peace and quiet. Months went by. I dated a little, focused on work, and reconnected with the friends who had stuck by me. I barely thought about Jenna, except for the occasional pang of disgust when I remembered how she'd acted. Then, about 6 months after the breakup, the drama found its way back to me. Dave sent me a screenshot from Instagram. It was a post from Jenna. She was flashing a ridiculously large, gaudy engagement ring. She was posed with some guy I vaguely recognized. It was Todd, the guy I'd kicked out of my apartment all those months ago. The caption was pure, uncut Jenna. I said yes. Sometimes you have to leave the boy behind to find the husband of your dreams. Can't wait to start my forever with my king. I rolled my eyes so hard I almost strained something. It was pathetic, but it was also a relief. She was someone else's problem now. The post was followed by a flood of stories about their wedding plans. They were moving fast. She announced they were having a massive engagement party at the Grove, a fancy, upscale restaurant and event space downtown. She made sure to tag the venue in every post, showing off the menu selections, the floral arrangements, the custom cocktail list. It was a full-scale social media production designed to show everyone how much she had won the breakup. Something about it bugged me. The whole thing felt desperate and rushed. I knew for a fact that Todd worked a dead-end sales job and had 2 roommates. There was no way he could afford a party at the Grove, let alone the ring on her finger. And I knew Jenna's finances were a disaster. She lived paycheck to paycheck and had a mountain of credit card debt. So who was paying for all this? Out of curiosity, I did a little digging. The Grove had a public-facing events team, and I had actually worked with one of their managers, a woman named Maria, to plan a corporate holiday party a couple of years back. I still had her email. I also browsed the Grove's website and found their private events policy packet available for download. I scanned the PDF and one section jumped out at me. It was their payment policy, and it was ironclad. Section 4, Payment Schedule. A non-refundable deposit of 50% of the estimated total is required to secure a date. The remaining 50% balance is due and must be paid in full, no less than 14 business days prior to the event date. Any outstanding balance on the day of the event for additional services, e.g., open bar overages, must be settled before the conclusion of the event. The Grove reserves the right to cancel any event for which the final payment has not been received by the deadline. I remembered the chaos of our work party, how strict Maria had been about getting the final check from my company 2 weeks out. They didn't mess around. Jenna's party was scheduled for a Saturday, Chet just 3 weeks away. I wondered if she'd read the fine print. A week before the party, an idea, a terrible, beautiful, petty idea, began to form in my mind. It was a long shot, but the thought of it was too delicious to ignore. I created a new, anonymous email address. It took 5 minutes. The night of the engagement party, I saw the pictures start to pop up on social media from some of our old mutual acquaintances. Jenna in a white dress, Todd in an ill-fitting suit, both of them with plastered-on smiles. They were there. The guests were arriving. Everything seemed to be going according to plan. At 7:30 p.m., half an hour after the party was scheduled to start, I logged into my anonymous email account. I sent a message to Maria, the event manager at the Grove. The subject was, "A friendly warning regarding your Sat night event, Jenna and Todd." The email was short and to the point. "Miss Garcia, I'm a former client and I wanted to pass along some information that might be relevant to your event tonight. The bride-to-be, Jenna, has a documented history of financial instability and of expecting her partners to cover her expenses. I just wanted to ensure you've secured your final payment for the evening's festivities. She talks a big game, but doesn't always follow through. To give you some context on her character, I've attached a screenshot. This is a public social media post she made while in a previous long-term relationship, just before she left that partner. Hope the night goes smoothly for you." I attached the original screenshot, the one that started it all, the stupid quote with the sunset background, "Don't let your boyfriend stop you from finding your husband." I hit send, closed the laptop, and went to watch a movie. I had planted the seed. Now I just had to wait and see if it would grow. I didn't have to wait long. About an hour and a half later, my phone started buzzing. It was Dave. I answered. "You are not going to believe what I just heard," he said, and he was laughing so hard he could barely speak. One of his coworkers was at the party as a +1 and had been feeding him live updates. According to Dave, Maria, the manager, got my email. Spooked, she had discreetly pulled Todd aside and asked to confirm the final payment had been made. Todd, looking confused, said he thought Jenna's father was covering the whole thing as a gift. So, Maria went to find Jenna. She pulled Jenna aside and, in the middle of her own party, asked for the outstanding balance of over $5,000. Jenna, cornered, admitted that she thought Todd had paid it. The whole thing unraveled right there on the floor of the fancy restaurant. Todd and Jenna started arguing in hushed, angry whispers. Then Todd went to find Jenna's dad, Alan, who confirmed he had only given them a check for a couple $1,000s as a gift toward the party. Not to pay for the entire thing. He had assumed, correctly, that two engaged adults would be able to cover their own party costs. The argument escalated. Todd, realizing he had been played by Jenna, who clearly expected him to magically produce the money, lost it. Voices were raised. Guests started to stare. The manager, seeing a disaster unfolding and a bill going unpaid, put her foot down. Pay now, or the party was over. The bar was closed, and the kitchen was told to stop sending out food. The public humiliation was too much. Todd and Jenna had a final, explosive argument near the coat check. He allegedly called her a lying, manipulative gold digger, threw the ring box at her, not the ring itself, just the box, and stormed out of the restaurant, leaving her there in her white dress with her family and all their friends watching. The party was officially dead. The guests awkwardly shuffled out into the night. Dave was still cackling on the other end of the line. He literally walked out on her at their engagement party. "You can't write this stuff." After we hung up, I sat in the quiet of my apartment, the glow of the TV screen washing over the room. My phone buzzed one last time. It was a text from Dave. "Heard the party was a train wreck. Fiancé walked out." I smiled, a real, genuine smile. I typed out my reply. "Looks like she's still looking for her husband." Then I opened up her contact, pressed block, and deleted the conversation for good.